Okay, today we're going to learn how to multiply decimals using rectangle sections. So multiplying decimals, and then today's method is rectangle sections / area model. You'll hear me use these words interchangeably. So, let me think. Who do I want to use? Say that Chloe owned a pie store, and in this pie store, each pie cost $6.74 per pie. Say somebody came into the store and they wanted lots of pies for Thanksgiving, so she sold them 15. How much would their total be? So we know that we don't really want to be drawing out $6.74 15 times on a grid. We know we don't want to do this on a number line, and we know we don't want to really do this with money. Money would probably be pretty easy, but a good method to do would be area model. So I'm going to draw a rectangle like that, and as you can see, I made it pretty big. It fits kind of like the whole length of my hand. I don't want it small because I'm going to be working inside of it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into 3 this way, and then I'm going to break it into 2 this way. The reason why I'm breaking it into 3 is because I have 3 place values, 6, 7 tenths, and 4 hundredths. Now it's really important that I don't forget the decimal because I'm not multiplying 674. I'm multiplying $6.74. 1, 2, 3 place values. And then over here I'm going to do 10 and I'm going to do 5. Now I'm sure some of you are thinking this is the most absolutely ridiculous way possible to do it. I get it. I understand. I'm going to be real honest with you. When I'm at the grocery store and I'm trying to calculate how I'm supposed to do something, I normally don't pull out rectangle sections. And rectangle sections and area model may not be the necessarily quickest way, but this is the way that Common Core thinks is good for you to understand why we do what we do. Okay? So this really explains the why we do the sprinkler method, the standard method, which you're going to learn tomorrow, which is also known as the standard way. So here I have 10 because that 1 has a value of a 10, and here I have a 5 because that value has a value of a 5. So here in this box I'm going to do 6 times 10, or 10 times 6, and I get 60. Here I'm going to do 10 times 7 tenths. Now, I cannot forget my decimal. I'm going to ignore my decimal, and I know that's 0 and 7. I used 1 place value with the decimal, so I'm going to move my decimal over 1, and my answer is 7. If you're thinking, and you're scratching your head, pausing it, Mom, I don't get this, hear me out. Here, we're going to do 10 times 0.4, or 4 hundredths. When you're multiplying decimals, you do not have to line the decimals up. That is awesome. So I'm going to cover that. 4 times 0 equals 0. 4 times 1 equals 4. And I don't have to go down here to times 0 because I know that's going to get 0. Now I multiplied with 2 placeholders behind the 0. So I'm going to move it over twice. So that means equals 4. This means 7. See, I only had 1 digit behind the decimal here, so that's why I only move it once. I had 2 digits behind the decimal, so that's why I moved it twice there. Here I'm going to do 6 times 5 to get 30. Here I'm going to do 5 times 7 tenths, excuse me. I'm going to ignore the decimal and say 5 times 7 equals 35. Now, I have one placeholder behind the decimal, so I always start from right and go to left. So I move it once, so that means my answer for this one. I don't start from the left and go to the right. I go from the right and to the left. Okay, then here I'm going to do 0.04 times 5. 5 times 4 equals 20. Then 5 times 0 equals 0. I use 2 digits behind the 0. So 1, 2 are behind the decimal, so that means my answer here is 2 tenths. Now, because I've multiplied all the boxes, I'm going to add them up. When you add decimals up, you have to make sure the decimals line up. And if you want to help it look better, because that's not very appeasing to the eye, so if you want to put 2 zeros to give them 2 digits, you can, because we know it doesn't change the value. So I'm going to add them up. 0, 4 plus 5 equals 9, plus 2 equals 11, so I'm going to put a 1 there, bring my decimal down, carry my 1. 7 plus 3 equals 10, plus 1 equals 11, carry my 1. 6 plus 1 equals 7, plus 3 equals 10. So according to my math, I would need $101, or it'll cost $101.10. Now we're not going to get into tax, that's a whole other level, and we could get to tax and become fancy if we want to. So now what I need to do is I need to check my work. I could use another method to check my work, just to make sure, because that seems pretty big. That seems like a pretty big answer. Okay, so I'm going to do money, just to check. So I could do a 5 here. $75, $75, $75. Oh, sorry, that's supposed to be $25. $25 to get 75. Oops, but I can't do a third one because it's 74. Man, I made this problem difficult. So I'm going to make this a 10. So we have 60. Now we have 70. Penny, 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 penny. Wow, I made this really difficult to check. So I could do this out 15 times. That would take a really long time. One thing you could do is you could make tallies. You could say 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. Okay, so I know I have $75 in just $5 bills. So what I did is I counted 5 15 times. Okay? Then I could do, well, I know if I count 1 15 times, I'm going to get 15. If I add up just that, that means I'm going to have $90 in cash, like cash money, the bills. Okay? Now, what I could do is I can count 25 cents 15 times. 25, 50, 75, $1, $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, $2, $2.25, $2.50, $2.75, $3, $3.25, $3.50, $3.75. Okay, so I got $3.75 for 125 cents. And if I have to do it again for another, so I can just double that. 6, 7, 9. Okay, so I've counted all my quarters. Okay, now I could count, and the reason I'm doing 3 sets of 5 is because I know that equals 15. Then here, we could count by 2s, or we could count by 10s. We'll count by 10s, by dimes. 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, 70 cents, 80 cents, 90 cents, $1, sorry, got off one, $1.10, $1.20, $1.13 or $30, $1.40, $1.50. So if I know I have 15 dimes, I'm going to have $1.50 twice. Carry your 1, 10. Okay, oh, sorry, you can't see that. Now I have to count my pennies 4 times. Or, sorry, 4 pennies 15 times. So that's counting by 4s. Okay? So that seems really difficult, and seems really, really long. So clearly that's why another great method to check this with would be the standard method, which you're going to learn tomorrow. Let's count by 4s real quickly. Well, let's think about this. I know 4 times 15. Let's do that. Get 20, carry my 2. 4 times 1 equals 4 plus 2 equals 6. And if it's 4 hundredths, so that means I need to add 60. So 101.5 plus 60. Oh, sorry, this was be 0. So I got the same thing. Okay, so what I did is I said 15 times 4. That's a lot of steps. But what we want you to understand is that when you're multiplying, the decimal really does matter. Because if you said that it cost at Chloe's store, $10,100.10, that seems absolutely ridiculous. So what you would need to do is you would need to make sure you understand why the decimal is where it is. Now, this is my last shout out. Keon, I hope you're still listening.